Have you ever walked through a forest and felt that it was alive? Not just the trees, or the birds, or the wind, but the whole world itself, like it's watching you, like it cares. That's the feeling Studio Ghibli captures in their films. And today, we're going to dive deep into how these films don't just entertain. They make us feel our connection to nature and even to our own responsibility for it. Welcome, everyone. If you love animation, nature, or just stories that touch your heart, stick around, because we're exploring the emotional impact of Ghibli's environmental themes, how forests, spirits, rivers, and even machines can teach us empathy, grief, hope, and resilience. Part 1. The Gentle Alarm Clock, Ghibli's Environmental Warnings. Let's start at the beginning. Studio Ghibli isn't just a studio that makes beautiful movies. It's a storyteller that warns us, gently but powerfully, about the world we're affecting. Take Nausicaä of the Valley of the Wind or Princess Mononoke. These films were made decades ago, yet their environmental messages are eerily prophetic. They didn't shout, "Save the planet," or "Stop polluting." Instead, they showed. They let us witness the consequences of human greed and indifference through stunning visuals and deeply felt narratives. Think about it. In Nausicaä, toxic jungles reclaim a world poisoned by humans. Or in Princess Mononoke, forests are alive, literally alive, with spirits, yet industrial expansion tears through them. Ghibli films don't preach, they invite us to notice, to feel, and to imagine the stakes. And that's the genius of these early environmental narratives. They plant a seed in our consciousness. A gentle alarm clock that says something's wrong and it matters. Part 2. Beyond Beauty, the Pain of Progress. Now let's talk about the emotional punch. These films aren't just beautiful, they're heartbreaking. There's a reason so many people remember the forest spirit dying in Princess Mononoke or the polluted river in Spirited Away. Ghibli amplifies our empathy through visual storytelling. You see a forest destroyed, a river spirit suffering, or a child mourning a lost animal companion, and suddenly, environmental destruction isn't an abstract idea anymore. It's personal. How do they do it? Through relatable characters, fantastical settings, and immersive worlds. Chihiro's journey in Spirited Away isn't just a magical adventure, it's a lesson in noticing what we take for granted: clean water, vibrant ecosystems, and the balance between humans and nature. And the impact is visceral. We feel ecological grief before we even realize it. It's not a lecture, it's an experience. That's why these films stick with us. They make the pain of progress tangible. Part 3. Our shared home, empathy through animation. Here's where Ghibli gets really profound. Beyond showing destruction, the films teach us empathy for the more-than-human world. Think about My Neighbor Totoro. Satsuki and Mei don't dominate the forest. They play, explore, and listen. Totoro isn't a teacher or a guide in the traditional sense. He's a presence, a being that coexists with humans. And through their interactions, we learn to care, not because it's mandated, but because it feels natural. Or take Ponyo. Sosuke's unconditional care for Ponyo, regardless of her fish or human form, demonstrates that empathy isn't about control. It's about relationships, attentiveness, and vulnerability. And that's what makes the message so powerful. Humans are part of an emotional ecosystem, and our actions ripple through it. Even non-human entities, forests, rivers, animals, spirits are given agency. They feel, they react, they matter. And we, as viewers, are invited to feel with them. Part 4. Subtle Prophecies, Early Environmental Narratives. If we go back in time, Ghibli's environmental consciousness started subtly. Nausicaä and Princess Mononoke aren't just entertainment, they're warnings disguised as epic stories. Take Nausicaä herself. She doesn't preach or lecture. She listens to the Omu. She observes the toxic jungle. She acts with care. Through her, viewers learn that ecosystems are complex and that human intervention can have unforeseen consequences. And then there's Princess Mononoke. Industrialization clashes with nature, yet the forest and humans are not depicted as simple good versus evil. There's nuance, moral ambiguity, and an emotional depth that makes the story and its environmental lesson linger long after the film ends. Ghibli's early works planted the seeds for a cinematic philosophy. Environmental storytelling is most effective when it feels lived, not lectured. We can't talk about Ghibli's environmental themes without diving into the aesthetics of loss. These films show that destruction is not only visual but emotional. In Spirited Away, the river spirit covered in sludge isn't just a plot device. It's a representation of human carelessness, and our response to it is emotional engagement. We grieve for the river as if it were a person. In Princess Mononoke, the forest spirit's death hits hard because Ghibli teaches us to see these entities as sentient. The pain is real, even for a spirit. And that emotional resonance is the key. Ecological loss becomes a human experience, a feeling that drives reflection and sometimes action. Building on that, Ghibli shows that empathy is relational. Ashitaka doesn't fight the forest gods to dominate them. He engages, learns, and responds with care. Chihiro doesn't clean the river spirit to gain reward. She does it because she feels responsibility. This is what makes Ghibli unique. It reframes environmental ethics as emotional practice. We feel with the non-human world, and through that feeling, we begin to understand the consequences of human actions. Even objects and landscapes are treated as beings. The moving castle in Howl's Moving Castle is tired, expressive, and responsive. The forest, rivers, and skies carry memory and emotion. And when we watch these interactions, we internalize the idea that every action matters in a shared world. But Ghibli is never just about grief. It's about hope and resilience. Even after devastation, nature has a way of regenerating, and humans have a capacity for repair. In Princess Mononoke, the forest spirit dies, but new growth emerges from its blood. In Nausicaä, the toxic jungle purifies the poisoned earth. And in My Neighbor Totoro, children's playful interactions restore a sense of balance. These moments of regeneration remind us that hope isn't naive, it's relational. It's built on care, attention, and ethical choices. Ghibli teaches that we can participate in ecological renewal, even in small ways. Fast forward to 2025. Why does Ghibli matter today? Because the studio's films continue to inspire environmental imagination, activism, and cross-generational ethics. Look around social media or climate activism. Ghibli imagery pops up everywhere. Totoro forests are protected. Princess Mononoke symbols appear in campaigns for indigenous land, and Nausicaä's message of coexistence informs discussions on ecological restoration. And the emotional legacy is key. People remember grief, hope, and empathy. They translate it into care for real forests, rivers, and oceans. Ghibli doesn't tell us what to do, it shows us why it matters. And that can be far more powerful. So, what can we take away from all this? Ghibli films remind us that environmental storytelling works best when it engages our hearts, not just our minds. Non-human beings, forests, rivers. Spirits have agency, and we can feel with them. Loss and hope are inseparable. Grief can teach us empathy, and care can inspire action. Regeneration is possible, but only if we choose to participate. Next time you watch Totoro, Ponyo, or Spirited Away, ask yourself, how does this make me feel about the world around me? Can that feeling translate into the way I treat the natural world? If this video inspired you, hit that like button. Subscribe for more explorations of animation and nature. And leave a comment sharing your favorite Ghibli moment that made you feel connected to the environment. I'd love to hear your stories. Remember, the magic of Ghibli isn't just on screen. It's in the way it teaches us to see, feel, and care for the world we share.